Are San Diego home prices finally starting to come down, or is this just another seasonal dip? Well, today we're going to cover all the latest trends, the mortgage rate chaos, and why waiting could potentially cost you a lot. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ian Collins, your go-to for real estate news in San Diego, aka your mom's favorite realtor. Is he though? And today is your monthly market update for August. We have a bunch of stuff to cover today, from Fed Chair Powell playing coy after he made the decision to maintain the Fed rate, to going over how to navigate this tumultuous market that is San Diego County. So whether you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or you're just keeping an eye on the market, this video is for you. So let's dive in. All right, the big question. Are home prices finally starting to come down in San Diego? Well, let's take a look at the graph. So you see in August, the median sales price for single family homes was $1,055,000. And for condos and townhomes, it was $675,000. You can see over here to the right. Now, if you look year over year, for single family homes, we still went up around 3.9%, 4% for single family homes. But over here on the right, for condos and townhomes, we only went up by 0.7%. So does that mean the home prices are flattening out? Maybe. Now come over to the year over year for the past 3 years. So 2022 single family homes were 903,000, very random number. 2023 it was 1,015,000. Now we're 155. So still a slight trend upwards. What's more interesting though, if you come to the right here at condos and townhomes, you'll see it kind of flattened out. Right? It was 670 last year and 675 this year. Do I see a crash coming or a significant price decrease? Honestly, realistically, we'll get into this a little bit later when we talk about the whole Fed chair, being coy about potentially dropping rates. But if that happens, man, watch out for everybody. Selfishly, it'd be good for me, but we'll get into that later. But basically, the home prices are pretty much flattening out a little bit. If we see another price decrease next month, it would be a good opportunity to buy, especially with the Fed meeting at the end of this month. If you've been on the fence trying to find the perfect time, I can't think of a better time than now. And this is not me trying to sell you. I don't even care if you buy a home with me. You can buy whoever you want. But just know, if there's favorable remarks, or the Fed chooses to drop the Fed rate, it's going to have a significant impact, especially here. Especially when you look at all the other markets around the United States that were severely hurt by these incredibly high interest rates. We can cry ourselves a river, but realistically, you look back at some of these numbers, like year over year, 14%, or even 4 or 5%, we still haven't seen a true decrease. And now with the potential of them dropping mortgage rates, it's going to be, as I say it over and over and over, a bloodbath. So if you're on the fence, definitely jump to the other side of the fence. Do not wait longer than you need to. And once again, I'm not trying to sell you. Do what you need to do. Now back to condos versus single family homes. Which one's performing better? What should I invest in? Age, old, chicken and the egg. If you look at the graph for median sales price, both have been kind of stagnant for the last couple months, between $1,050,000 for single family homes, with a slight increase in April to $1,090,000, and condos and townhomes have kind of been stagnant. I recommend people, especially if you're in the military or anything like that, don't sleep on condos and townhomes. The HOAs usually cover outside. It's a great opportunity for you to find some more leverage. Not to be confused with buying power. Have a little bit more leverage as a buyer to get favorable terms or get a better deal if you do look for condos and townhomes. That's obviously the recommendation. Single family homes obviously have a much better long-term appreciation and all that kind of stuff. You don't have most of them don't have HOAs, but don't sleep on condos and townhomes. If you have an opportunity and it's in a nice neighborhood, great. I like to advise all my clients is you have to decide. In San Diego, it's all about scarcity, right? Even these people buying, the $100 million home, which is still on the market, which is ridiculous. What's the mortgage rate on that? But when you're buying in San Diego, you have to think about scarcity, right? I'm pre-approved for $800,000. What am I willing to sacrifice, right? If I want to live closer to downtown and be a part of the urban, walk to neighborhood, walk to restaurants, and be a part of the action, my $800,000 is going to get me maybe 1 or 2 bedroom condo. It'll be nice. Whereas if I go and move out to La Mesa Spring Valley, my money goes a little bit farther, but I'm not. It might not be as nice. So take that in consideration and weigh the pros and cons. Always do the age old wants and needs and prioritize them, and don't also sleep on Temecula and Marietta. If you're willing to make a drive, Temecula and Marietta have for 800,000 you buy a mansion up there, which is ridiculous. But once again, you sacrifice with the drive. So make sure when you're doing this analysis in your head with you and your family or by yourself, wants and needs, what is more priority for you? Being in a better school district or being close to restaurants to walk to. But at the end of the day, the location that you're willing to live in is going to matter. And if you're buying a condo or a townhome, a lot of times with the same budget, you're going to get a nicer property. So don't sleep on it. Most of the time I hear from people moving here from outside of, San Diego, people that live here, we understand there's a lot of condos and townhomes, and 2-bedroom, 1-bath is not an evil term here. But just let that internalize. Just buy something that you can afford that's not too many sacrifices. And that will be a good investment no matter which way. Now let's talk about everybody's favorite cliffhanger, edge of your seats. This is the most I've ever seen people watch the Fed speak. In my 37 years, no one's paid this close attention. But now they do, because everybody's waiting for that mythological interest rate drop or whatever specific number to jump in the market. Now, the current Fed rate is 5.25%, 5.9%. But like I was talking about earlier, Fed Chair Powell is kind of like that girl at the club. She's like winking at you and you're like, oh man, maybe she likes me. And then you go up talk to her. She's like, oh, why? Same thing, Fed Chair Powell. He kind of hints and is very coy with what they're thinking about doing, and doesn't really give too much, but gives you a little bit of a hope, but then crushes it every single time they have a meeting. He did it again, and he did the same thing he's been doing, saying oh, well, maybe it's time for a policy change. Personally, I wouldn't hold your breath. It just don't take that as a green light to yes, it's happening. We've been saying yes, it's going to happen since December in 2023. Make financial decisions based on your current state, and if interest rates drop, cool. And in full disclosure, I would love for interest rates to drop. I own a home. It doesn't affect me at all. It's just more icing on the cake for me. I could drop my mortgage even more and save even more money. But realistically, it's not good for people that are thinking about buying a home, or let alone first-time home buyers, or people thinking about upgrading, their family size grew and they need a bigger house. It doesn't help everybody, because as soon as that levers turn and competition increases and people start doing the chaotic stuff we were doing in 2019 and 20, that's also not good for anybody. So just make plans. I know it's hard to say, but stop watching the Fed rate. Regardless, when you get pre-approved and you get quoted by a lender, they're going to quote you something, and the rates change every single day. So don't fixate on that. Plan for the worst case scenario. Plan 7%, plan 7.5%. You can still afford it. Fantastic. Don't nuke it. Don't miss out on opportunity because you're waiting for that coy girl at the bar, aka Fed Chair Powell, to come talk to you. Just make the decision based off your current status. And if interest rates drop, if they do for me, fantastic. But if not, we're still in a good place. Next, a few tips for my buyers. First, if you're looking for the best neighborhoods to find a quote-unquote deal, or where you have more buying leverage, I would focus my energy on Vista and Santee. Both of them have higher than average in San Diego inventory, and homes have stayed on the market longer, which leaves sellers in more of a negotiating mindset or negotiating mood. Those are the two neighborhoods I would pick after combing all the data. Next, realize that although those two neighborhoods are good, if you're trying to buy in San Diego, it's a super competitive market. So you need to have a team around you. So a realtor that is very process orientated, having a lender that the realtor and lender on the same page, home inspect, all of that stuff to put together your buying team in order to compete in this market. Second, don't get fixated. I keep saying the word deal, quote, air quotes, on purpose. Don't fixate on trying to do these low ball offers. I've seen clients miss out on homes that they would really love because they just want to offer $10,000 less than asking price. And I get it. Like, I get what you're trying to do, but take a moment and really look at it. Go do the mortgage calculator. Go on Zillow mortgage calculator because it's easy. Make sure that you put in 1.25 for property taxes, $2,400 a year for single family homes, $1,200 a year for home insurance for condos and townhomes, and put the interest rate at 7. Make sure it's the same variables, and do 750,000, and then do 740,000. You'll see the difference is like $100 for 10, 15 grand. Now, do you want to lose this property for $100 difference that's within your budget? No. So take the ego out of it and think of the big picture. Like, what's your left and right level? What is a no-go criteria? What is overpaying? If it's outside of your pre-approved budget, yep, that's no-go criteria. We can't do it. But if you're getting hung up over $100 a month, then you might not have really liked that property. But remember, focus on the mortgage, focus on value, focus on, will it hurt in 6 months that I didn't get this home for $100 a month? If you're like, yeah, don't care, then it wasn't the right one. But if you're like, ah, man, $100, yeah, I'll do it. And a quick rabbit hole, the reason why people do this is that other people are competing, and people that are coming to San Diego understand this, that our market appreciates fast. So in that 6 months that you're now still looking, that same condo or townhouse or home that you missed out for 10, 20 grand that you wanted to underbid now has appreciated over that. So they know that. We kind of think about like, that's not worth that much. And you watch this video I have about, people when they're going to buy homes, you don't listen to your parents when they tell you to go back to college or don't dye your hair purple or whatever. But as soon as you're buying a home, your parents are your trusted advisor. It is chaotic, right? My grandma bought her house for 60 grand in Del Mar. My mom can't fathom that my condo is $700,000. In a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo is $700,000. She cannot fathom it. It just does not compute in her head. My grandma's house, and I always go to reminders, like my grandma's house that grandma bought in 1970 for 60 grand is now worth like 16 million. Caveat, we don't own it, but just for frame of reference. And then my mom's head truly explodes. But the moral of this whole story, if you want to have your parents helping and facilitating you buying a home, make sure you bring them to the buyer's consultation with you. Make sure that they see the documentation, the numbers, the statistics, because we fixate on what we remember last. And then while you're going to buy a home and you're having all the accurate data, you're going to have good old dad and mom like, no, that home's not worth $1 million. It only should be worth $200,000. Well, sorry, Dad. It is worth $1 million because there's other people that want to buy it. Your subjective value of it doesn't dictate the appraisal value or the market value of that home. And I've seen better results when you bring it to the buyer's consultation. So bottom line, if your parents are really involved into your home buying process, make sure you bring them to the buyer's consultation so they're on the same sheet of music and they're not, referencing their experience in 1980s when they're trying to help advise you. Next, for my sellers, we just roasted buyers and their parents for a little bit. For my sellers, have you seen those? I keep keying on it. Buyers think it's 2009. Sellers think it's 2019. Stop overpricing your listings, your home. I don't care what the realtor says. Don't allow them to bid you up because it's just going to hurt you. You want to avoid what's called the death spiral, right? You go in there and you interview agent one. They say, hey, yeah, Mr. Collins, your home is worth $900,000. I interview another agent. It's like, yeah, it's worth $950,000. The next one says $1.1 million. In my heart, I'm going to be like, $1.1 million. Yes. That's what I want. But reality, in the back of your head, your home's not really worth that much. Your next door neighbor that's the exact same model sold for $900,000 2 weeks ago, but you heard 1.1, so naturally your logic goes out the door and it's all emotional like, hey, yes, I want to get 1.1. But here's the problem with that. You go and you price your home like that, put it on the market, and it sits. Everybody's watching it sits too, because if you're in 99% of the neighborhoods, it's highly competitive, so people are watching your home. See, go on a week or two, nothing, doesn't go into escrow, no offers, another couple weeks. All of a sudden now people start thinking like, something wrong with Ian's house? Like, why is it on the market so long? That's weird. This is San Diego. Things sell quick. Then Now you're like sitting there panicking because your home's not selling. You live in San Diego. It's a nice home. You're wondering why. So you start dropping the price. And now everybody, remember, people are watching. And now they're looking at your home slightly, they're dropping price every 2 weeks. And what do you think they think? Well, how low will he go? And that is the death spiral. Now you're dropping the home price, putting it back on the market. Your days on market are through the roof. And now you're feeling panicked and you're not getting the top dollar for your home. You're not selling in the shortest amount of time. And you're paying mortgages that entire time it's on the market. And then you're probably not going to get favorable terms either. So what I suggest is when you're going down, you're entertaining these listing appointments, sit down with the agent, right? I have a whole series on what questions you should ask real estate agents that are off the wall. Don't ask how much my home's worth or how fast you think it'll sell, because those are the same questions that every single seller asks. And little Timmy, who got his real estate license at breakfast, has practiced a script 1,000 times to overcome that objection. So give them some curveballs, ask about their business, etc. When you start going into talking about how to price and place your home on the market, there has to be a structured approach, right? Go there, get your CMA, right? Which is subjective. That's why there's appraisers, because realtors were dumb and no one trusts our CMAs. But have a CMA, a well done CMA by your realtor that shows the previous sales, the like homes, where your house's estimated market value was at, right? Then, and I hate saying this, and it gives me chills in the back of the neck, you have to look at the Zestimate. No, the Zestimate is not accurate by any sense of the means. But take a second out of your real estate brain and our real estate brain and put yourself in a consumer behavior brain. How does one go to find your house and buy a home? Well, they get this little ugly little email drip from their realtor that sucks. And what's the first thing they do? They look it on Zillow. And what's the first thing they see on Zillow? That's Zestimate. So regardless if it's accurate or not, if you price that home too much above the Zestimate for most homes, people's first reaction of your home is like, it's overpriced, even if it's not. So take that into consideration when you're placing it. Remember that your list price is not your sales price, is not your appraised value. They are three totally different numbers. Make sure you price it competitive. When you set the list price, make sure it's competitive to drive traffic and exposure to your home. If you live in a neighborhood with a lot of inventory and a lot of turnover, track homes like Chula Vista, Eastlake, and all that stuff, it's the same home 1,000 times over, and it's a little, military village where, all of us come and go, and, basically it's on base but not on base where you can own the home. Make sure that whoever you hire does video advertising. We're not allowed to put some information out in the MLS. And a lot of these realtors that sold you on this 32-point marketing strategy, which basically was I hire a photographer to take pictures, put it on Zillow, and have ChatGPT write a description. Now they have to really market it to get it in front of more people, but also to show what you're willing to do. That Fred next door is selling the exact same model, and he's selling it for $5,000 more than you, or maybe $5,000 less than you, God forbid. But we're offering, 2% to the buyer's agent to make sure that this buyer doesn't have to pay out of their pocket. We're making it easier to buy our home than Fred is to buy his home, even though it's $5,000 cheaper. Before, you could just look on MLS and kind of like gauge it out and make that plan. But now it doesn't happen. So realtors have to learn how to be marketers for the first time in forever and cannot just rely on MLS. So I see big things coming for the real estate industry. I think it's better for everybody that this lawsuit came out. Just make sure when you're talking to someone, see what their social media presence is. See how much reach. Ask them what their marketing plan is. Don't just be okay with, hey man, I have a 32-point strategic marketing plan. Oh, that sounds good. Let me tell you, my undergrad is in marketing, and I have done 2.5 strategic marketing plans. And I promise you, I will bet my firstborn child that 99.9% of the realtors in San Diego have never done one. Why? Because the shortest one was 80-something pages. They're not doing it. Next time a realtor tells you, hey, I have a 32-point, very, in-depth strategic market analysis, simply ask them, like, oh, that's cool, little Timmy. What's a SWOT analysis? And just stare at him and see what he says. If he can't answer what a SWOT analysis is, he's not doing the marketing analysis for you. He's not doing anything for you. He's playing. So when in doubt, make sure you price your home accordingly. Make sure you price your home to sell. And if you price it slightly under market value, there's a higher chance that you're going to get more money for your home than if you try to price it above and then slowly negotiate down and drop the price every 2 weeks. Not a good plan. One way to maximize the return on the sale of your home is to cut down on your costs. And one of those ways is with my flexible listing program, starting at just 1%. I offer 3 different packages depending on what you need for the home that you choose. If you need more marketing, you choose the gold package. If you're a landlord that lives across the country and you need someone to deep clean it, stage it, do everything for you, I have a concierge package. Or maybe you're in an incredibly competitive neighborhood and you just need me to put a sign out there and guide you through escrow, and I have a 1% option for you. Bottom line, stop overpaying for real estate services that are based on outdated policies and not on current market trends. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Before I let you go, I want to cover one last topic. It is like the most viral, controversial thing in the real estate industry right now, and it's this little silly post right here. I forgot some real estate, economics reporter did a report on how much money people spend on rent before they buy their first house, and it was like $333,000 before they bought their first home. And it's an uproar. Realtors, savvy or sleazy realtors jumped on like, oh, marketing, haha, don't spend this much money on renting before you buy. Come buy with me now. And then we have the other, anti home buying flat earth people, and they're like, well, how much money do you spend on your interest rates, your mortgage interest for over the 30-year term of your home? So it's been just chaotic beefing. People on social media and internet literally argue over anything, but this one's been the chaotic one. But I wanted to cover is that, yes, if that is accurate, I didn't even read the entire thing because it didn't. But yeah, if you is true that you spend $330,000 before you buy a home, that is an incredible amount of money to theoretically waste, or I would argue that's not even waste. You're investing in the leisure of being able to move wherever you want. That's a very high price to not be tied down or have responsibilities like a mortgage. On the other hand, yes, you do pay mortgage interest. I pay a ton. My interest rate's like 6.75%. The difference is I write it off. But I also can do things like I just refinanced my mortgage and I dropped it. That rental payment's never going to go down, ever. Like as a landlord before, I've never dropped rent. I've raised rent. I've never dropped it. Who does that? It's weird. And second is that you have more, when you're buying, it's an investment, right? When you're renting, you're investing, but you're investing in being able to go anywhere you want and being free. But when you're investing in your home, think of it as forced savings. Every time you pay your mortgage, you're paying into that savings plan. Whereas when you're renting, you're never going to see any of that money back. Sure, when your mortgage rate, your mortgage interest, you're going to pay money and you're going to pay it to the bank. It's the cost of doing business. It's in the world that we live, and it's going to happen. Banks are going to get their lick off you because I'm not spending $700,000 on a condo and paying it cash. So in order to finance it, yes, you have to pay. But I would rather take, me personally, and I'm not trying to knock on anybody that are forever renters. Me personally, I would rather buy a home where I have control and I can sell it and make a profit. I can refinance it and drop my mortgage payment. I can rent it out to someone else and turn it into a business, a true investment. You have, in my mind, more options with that. And there's other statistics and research out there that talking about like the first true step in building wealth is buying your first home. I'm not going to look it up because realistically facts don't matter. And this is all people's personal preference. And at the end of the day, and I put a post, and this is another extremely controversial one, you're a real estate investor. Regardless if you're renting or you're buying, you're owning a home, you're a real estate investor. You're either investing in someone else's home or your own home. Except if you live in your mother's basement, then you just, it's the Taj Mahal and you have to pay anything. All right, that's all I have for you for this monthly market update. Thanks for tuning in. I hope the new format was more digestible for you. Please like and subscribe to the channel and hook me up. And if you had any more questions about that flexible listing, check out this video. And because YouTube's 10 times smarter than me, it also said you like this video too. And I'll see you next time.